Hey guys, Mitch here. I was able to interview one of my really good friends, Raymond Jones, and our conversation was about an hour long, and I had to break that up within 3 episodes. So I hope you guys enjoy the first episode, and where we talk about basically his upbringing and some of our military history together, and then it kind of goes into his ventures as well. Stick around for the next couple of weeks as we drop the other 2 episodes following that. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Turn notifications on so you'll get notifications whenever videos post on Mondays. Please like and share with your friends. And hopefully, these videos will bring value to you. And hopefully, you are continuing to bring value to those you interact with on a daily basis. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mitch Files. You are now tuned in to an interview that I've been looking forward to doing for a while. I want to bring on Raymond Jones, a guy that I have known for years. We've served in the military together. Even though his Chiefs beat my Eagles in the Super Bowl this past year, he is one that I consider a close friend and a brother. My man Raymond, thanks for joining today, man.
Man, it's a pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to you getting this going, brother.
Yes, sir. I remember when I posted a story on my Instagram and I said, I'm really thinking about starting a podcast. And you were one of the first people, literally, besides my son, you were one of the first people in my DMs that said, you need to do it. And so here we are.
That, bro, that's all it is, man. We a lot of people, we say talk that talk, man. Now let's do it. Let's do it.
I think with me, it was I was trying to be perfect rather than just pressing the record button. And it was so the idea came in like maybe the beginning of June, and I was like, I want to be prepared. So I was like studying videos on how to edit, how to get the proper lighting. I was doing all that research rather than just recording, like you were telling me, like, man, just do it. And so I know it took a while, but I'm glad that we're here.
Man, I mean, honestly, it didn't really take that long because I think that was towards the end of the school year because I was on my way dropping my daughter off when I saw it. And that's why I sent that.
And you,
Immediately
immediately,
sent that video. I was like, "Hey,
immediately you
I'm the
messaged
wrong
me.
person to be thinking out loud in front of because you was like just thinking out loud." I was like, "I'm not that person, bro, because I'm gonna make you do it. I'll make you do it, bro." Literally,
Hey, but it's a
yeah,
blessing.
literally, I was like less than a mile away from the school. Dropped my daughter off. As soon as she was done, I took the phone out. I was like, "Yo, yeah,
That's exactly how it went. So we can just talk about that for the next hour or so. But I just want to get right into it. So like I said, I've known you for a while, um, and for the people that's going to be viewing this video when it drops, I just want them to get a quick background of you, and we're gonna go through it all. But right now, I just want you to start from the very beginning, basically like where you're from. How was your upbringing? What brought you into joining the military?
yeah, yeah." So I'm originally from SoCal, raised in the Inland Empire, so San Bernardino, Riverside, California. um that whole thing. Never known like my biological father, so but that was never an issue because I already had, I had a father figure. My pops, he had been in the life since like I was like 4, so I never had the whole I don't know my dad issue. But raised lower middle class, lived in an apartment complex. I think the first like home we owned was like we lived in a mobile home park. So when you own it, it's a mobile home. When you're looking at other people and you judging them, it's a trailer. So we owned it. It was a mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey man, I remember growing up in a house. I lived with my grandmother growing up, and I remember it was 5 of us in the house, and me and my uncle shared the bedroom. My grandmother and my sister shared the bedroom, so I know
yeah,
how it
yeah,
is. Just kind of it wasn't a mobile home, but
yeah,
you know, it was a pretty tiny
yep,
home.
yep.
But I'm grateful forever for my
Yeah,
grandmother.
yeah. So, yeah, man. I mean, that was never like a shameful thing for me. Like, it never really bothered me. But you don't know what you don't know. So, like, sometimes, truly, like, ignorance is bliss. But when I was in high school, I want to say like 10th grade or something like that, like we moved into a house. And I was like, yo, that was completely different. That was the first time in my life, man, because we always had cousins and people living with us. It was like the first time in my life, man, that I had my own room. And I was like, "Yo, bro," that lasted all about like 3 weeks, and then my aunt and my 4 cousins moved in with us. So I quickly went from having my own
Mm.
room to sharing a room with 2 of my cousins 'cause, my brother was in the other room, so he got 2, and then I got 2. And then my aunt was out in the living room on the couch and stuff. Um, but yeah, so that's how it was, brought up, man. I had always been working, like, under the counter at liquor stores, stocking shelves, some more unethical, unmoral things of making some cash that happens sometimes in those areas.
Yeah.
Ended up getting a job. I was trying to be better. My brother got a job at McDonald's, and I was trying to be better. I was like, nah, I'm gonna get a job at this grocery store. I'm gonna go work here. But they got the standard, you have no experience, so we can't hire you. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get experience if y'all don't hire me? Like, this don't make no sense. It's like when you got credit, we can't give you anything because you don't have no credit. How do I get credit if nobody's gonna give me credit in order to get credit? It's the same thing with a job. Like, you ain't got no experience. Like, how do I get experience? Nobody's gonna hire me to get experience. So I ended up finally getting a job. My brother got me hired at McDonald's. And I mean, I had fun, bro. Like you I think the same thing, like, when we work together and stuff, like I've always had found a way just to have fun. Like we'd be sending people back to the
Right.
freezer and we'd be jumping them in the freezer, man, hit them with a box of nuggets and, jumping off the top shelf of French fries. And so,
I know all about McDonald's. That was my first job too. So I definitely
yeah. So working at McDonald's, man, then that's when I met, my oldest daughter's mom. I met her there. We didn't go to the same high school, but I met her there. And then, my senior year ended up, you know, being a kid with a kid. So teenager having kids, man. And my older brother, same thing. He had a kid while we were still in high school. So kind of seemed like a family tradition. We was gonna keep going. But what happened is he was a year ahead of me. And when I was getting ready to graduate, he was still in the house. And I was
okay.
like, nah, that's not gonna be me. And man, literally I was at the movies. um I'm trying to I think I was watching, bro. I think I was watching Black Hawk Down. Like for real, for real. And left the movie. There's like one of those shopping plazas and walked past a Armed Forces Career Center. Bro,
Wow.
literally left the movie, never thought about it, never considered, just walked past, and I was like, yep. Walked in, was like, I want to join. And they're like, okay, like, trying to get the qualifications out. I was like, I just want to join. Like, I don't really care. But I was 17, so
Yeah.
I had to get mom's approval. We set up a time for them to come to the house and talk to my mom. I didn't tell her nothing. So like you see, like the pace, the way that I move things, it's always naturally been there. Next day, the recruiter shows up to the house. I knew they was coming. I knew my mom was gonna be there. They come in, and she's like, "Absolutely not." And I was like, "Well, either you can sign now, and I'll leave after the summer. So I'll leave at, graduate and then leave after the summer's like September, October. Or you don't, because this is when they had like, yo, you can sign up today and leave tomorrow. Like this is when they had like, you can ship quickly. And I was like, or you sign it now and I leave. So if you don't, I'm gonna leave right after my birthday. My birthday's in July. It's just like literally a week or so ago. I said, or you sign and I'll wait and I'll leave in September. So either way, like your choice. I leave in July or I leave in September. What you want? Man, bro, she was so
It's
pissed. So
it's so crazy. It's so crazy because I've like I said, I've known you for a long time, but like this is a part of your life that I've never known about, right? So it's our paths were pretty similar. And I've done a video on this basically explaining, how my military journey came about. And it's almost this night and day. Worked at McDonald's. I was 17, minus the kid. I didn't have a kid early on, but I was 17. My grandmother and my parents did not want me to join. Um, and I said the same thing. When I turned 18 in like 3 weeks, I'm just going to sign and join anyway. Literally the
yeah,
same thing, bro.
yeah, I mean,
And here we are, 20 years and 21 years military serve, so it's a
yeah,
blessing.
yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, that was 2002. Uh,
Mhm.
so things were a little bit different. I think they had their reasoning because this is less than a year after 9/11. They had their concerns, whatever. But I mean, in my head, man, like I honestly wasn't thinking about that. My thing was like, my oldest brother's at home with a kid. I I was either about to have my daughter or I already had her. And I was like, that's not gonna be me. I'm not gonna be the one like living at mom's house for the next 10 years. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, man, that whole thing, then I went Korea and then to brag and then 2000, what was that, 2006? Or was that
That
2005?
was, yeah, 2006. So I'm gonna put a
All
pin in
right,
that
all
real
right, go ahead.
fast, and I'm gonna kind of break all that
Okay.
down real fast. So, like I said, the first time that we met, it was during Hurricane Katrina relief. That was September 2006. And I don't remember if you went on mission with us, but I do remember us playing football before we left, and we were playing tackle football in the lawn, man. I remember going back home sore as ever because of that tackle football, man.
That I mean, yeah,
But
that's yeah, for I mean people that listen,
so
that's just a
then
different, different type of camaraderie. Like, when stuff just sucks, 'cause we down there, everybody else is leaving New Orleans and we're out there playing football before a mission. Cause I was on loan to you guys because I was over in 3rd Brigade. So I was on loan to
right.
21st, yeah.
And man, that was probably some of the I've never had, well, I can't say I never had as much fun, but that was like the first time that I really had fun being a part. I felt like I was a part of something. Like that was like the first real world mission since, it's on my NCOER
Yeah,
somewhere, but it was like one of the first real world
yeah.
missions. And like I remember driving from North Carolina to Louisiana. That trip was
Br
brutal, man. I was driving a 5-ton the
Bro,
whole
I
way.
got to go, I don't know if you call it torture Advon, but I got to fly, slept on the floor of a C-17 with the,
Oh
Advon, man.
man.
So, waiting for the rest of the unit to get there. So, I got there earlier, flew into Alexandria, and then drove from there to New Orleans, wherever we were staying.
No, but then we reconnected again at Warrant Officer Basic Candidate School, or Warrant Officer course, and then the basic course. And when I tell you the joy it was that I seen somebody that I knew, because for us, we were chemical soldiers, so the community is small, but if you haven't served in a chemical unit, you don't really know anybody, So when I seen you, I was like, bet somebody I
Yeah,
know, and so that time right there as a warrant officer was some of the best times that I had just going through that because that course was hard. It was like, at the time for me, my wife was pregnant, so I was thinking about that the whole
yeah.
time, and then just having to reprogram going from a senior NCO to being a warrant officer. It was a challenge, but it was a beneficial one. Um, and then we reconnected
Hold
again in
hold
2016
on. Don't
when I
don't
relieved
skip
you.
past candidate school, bro. Don't skip past
Oh
candidate
man,
school. So so
I, I have it written down to make sure that I address the fact that we're going to bring this back,
okay,
and we're going to just talk about candidate
okay,
school,
okay.
and that conversation
Okay,
that conversation will be a good one
okay.
for
All
sure.
right, all right.
All right, so I'm gonna go back to 2016 where we reconnected again at Redstone
Yep,
Arsenal. You had a squad down there. We were doing some good things over there at Redstone Arsenal, and I was lucky enough to be the one to relieve you. And what was beautiful was you were still there for like a month and some change after I got there.
yeah.
So it was not only was I learning, the tricks and trades of the mission, but I was also just hanging out with my boy Ray. We went to a Chiefs game, and I wore my Eagles gear too. We did a lot of hanging out,
Yeah.
dinners and all that stuff. So it was good to reconnect with you then. And then we stayed in touch because you had went to Fort Hood
No, I went
after
to
you
Korea.
left.
Yeah, I went
Did
to
you?
Korea.
I thought you went to Hood
No, I went to
after.
Korea for a year
Okay,
and then Hood after that. Yeah.
okay, but we had you said that you was in hood, and we stayed in touch, via Facebook, messaging and stuff like that. But it was really the conversation that you and I had back in 2001. Um, you had called me because I think you had about 10 months left, maybe like a year or some change, in the military, and I can hear it in your voice that you were like you were done at that point. You were like, man, and you called me. You were asking me about like the programs that I did prior to retirement, like the SFL tab,
Yeah,
and then like how I went through the VA process and stuff like that. Um, and I'm what I appreciate about that phone call was that I hope that I was able to give you the guidance that you were looking for in that phone call. But the conversation changed to like it was almost like I needed that phone call just as much as
yeah,
you. Um, I was really debating on starting a lawn care business. Like that was on my heart, and I shared that with you, and you gave me some really good information, about how you deal with a guy that does the lawns for the properties that you had owned at that time and stuff like that. And it was just like that information is that like I needed to hear it because the only person that was like, "Oh man, you should do it," was my
yeah,
wife. You know what I mean? So like, and I didn't really share it with a lot of people, but sometimes it just takes that one person that's like not even in your immediate bubble at that time, to just motivate you to do
yeah.
things. And that's how it was with the lawn care, and that's how it is now, honestly, with just you and I talking right now. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but it probably wouldn't happen this soon if you didn't message me almost immediately after I posted that story.
Not the. I mean, yeah, I was reaching out, man. I was like, it wasn't. I was definitely done because I think that's when in 2021. I think that's when they kept messing with me as far as like kicking my stuff back, or I was entertaining, trying to find out like how do you retire? Because like obviously like nobody in knows truly how to retire, so it's always like this just confusing. As long as the army's been around, nobody truly knows like what the steps are to retire because everybody in has not retired and they don't really don't care about it until it's their time. So I was like, yo, like Mitch, like, bro, like, what do I do? Like, how do I leave this thing? But I think because I think you were still doing, weren't you in farm tech school?
Pharmacy
Yeah.
tech. Yep. I was actually during that phone call, I was either getting ready to go to work or coming back from work because I was wearing scrubs on that phone call. And then I'm telling you right now, once you and I hung that phone up, I would say like a week later, I had put in my 2 weeks notice because I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So like I said, that phone call, man, I hope that I was able to give you the
Yeah.
guidance you were looking for, but that phone call did so much for me, that man, I'm telling you, like I would probably still be working at that hospital right now if I didn't get that phone call, and then throughout that whole process, um, there was a shift in your mentality, and I mean that in a positive way, and I noticed it. And once I seen a shift from you, and I seen the things that you were sending me like through message or the things you were posting on social media, I was like, all right, Mitch, you're being told something for a
Yeah.
reason, so let's follow behind it. You know what I mean? And the for you, I'm gonna ask you mentally, how has life changed for you since retirement? Just mentally. We'll get into professional in a second.
I mean, so like actual retirement or like when I like fully just like checked out? Because actual retirement's not even a year ago. That's October 1st of last year.
So we'll say when you mentally checked
Okay.
out, but you didn't have any responsibilities at work.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean that was honestly, man, like shoot, 2019. Um, and like I just got passed over for promotion, and that just kind of completely shifted. And I was like, that was the first time that I've been like, yeah,
Rejected.
rejected, and I was like, "Yo, like, I know I've never been rejected, man." I mean, through every NCOES, man, Distinguished Honor Grad, Leadership Awardee. I see your photo back there, man. Audie Murphy inductee. Always been, you know, quote unquote, like that guy. And when that
Right.
happened, I was just like, "All right, man. Guess we're done." We're d like,
Right.
this relationship is over. Yeah, like, even though I still had 3 I still had 3 years, but I was like, and then, like, they come back, they're like, "We gonna put you at brigade, like, you the best dude for this job," and I was like, "Nah, y'all made your decision. This relationship is over." And I was like, "Put me," and then they offered me battalion, and I was like, "Nope, don't want that." Matter of fact, I don't want my current job. Put me over here, sign for
Yeah.
equipment, bro. And for a second, like, I went back and I was like, "Okay, like, I'm still gonna try to work," and then I tore my Achilles, and then after that, man, and with that happened, and then COVID started, and like that whole time, I just started staying in like the personal development space, listening to ET, started listening to other podcasts, reading books, learning how to do the business thing, listen to bigger pockets, real estate, like fully just, I tell people all the time, like just fully immerse myself. And that just made me recommit. And when I went back to work, like slowly hobbling around, like they're like, "Hey, we got this training event." I was like, "You better find somebody else. You better find," and then everything, and eventually, bro, they just accepted it.
What's crazy is it's funny you mentioned that. What's crazy is, and I used to tell my wife this all the time. No matter how much work you put into the job, and I can only base it off of the military because that's where I spent 21 years. At the end of the day, they are going to replace you and not think twice
Yeah.
about where you are. So, like, again, our situations are kind of similar in the fact of getting ready to get out because when it was time for me to get out, um, they basically like when a commander signed that sheet that I was being med boarded, they basically had someone in an office like a week later. And it was just like, and I get the process, I really do, but give me some time. You know what I mean? Don't just like, I'm still here. However, I understand the process. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
No, it was for a little bit, like, and they just get used. I think they just get used to like personalities of who's doing certain things. Because they were, well, like with exercise, like I was always part of like exercise design and like linking up with like First Cav or whoever, just because, growing up at, you know, leadership wise, growing up at Bragg, like they would always throw me over, okay, hey, we're going to work with Gray Wolf or we're working with these people. They're like, "Hey, Chief, can you go over there and talk to them?" And just because I had that type of personality. But when I finally stepped away, and I was like, "No, no, call me if there's a UA." Like that's pretty much it, bro. There was a point where like I fought, like I had like a full beard, and bro, I wasn't on
Yeah.
leave. I wasn't, not like stubble, but I had like a full beard. Like I hadn't been to work in months because they just got it. Like, don't call me, don't call me, because at that point, once you pass that 18-year mark, like I'm not telling everybody to do it, but I knew I was done, and I was like, I've got to build. I
Right.
got to build something for me outside. So that's where like my mentality shifted from the uniform is not who I am. It's just what I'm doing right now. But there's a whole different life out there, and I'm not prepared for it because I initially joined the army just as a resume builder. And here we are 17, 18 years later. And I was like, I don't know what resume I've been building in for what, because we've just been doing army. Like, a lot of people know what that means. Like you just in it.
All right, guys, that was part one of three of my interview with Ray. I hope you guys enjoyed what you watched so far. We'll see you guys next Monday.